Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Wait, What Are We Talking About podcast, episode 215. My name is Bret, aka Enigma9011, and you can catch this podcast live over on twitch.tv/Enigma9011. You can drop a follow over there. You'll get notified when we go live, so you join in the fun and conversation with us. But if you can't catch it live, that's A-OK. Go over to YouTube and podcast services the very next week, where it's broken out topic by topic and put as one big video and MP3 for your amusement on the following Friday. Last but not least, wherever you're watching or listening to this, if you drop a follow or a sub, whatever it is, it may seem small, but it does help the channel grow. So if you take the time to do that, we would love and appreciate you for it. Today, we're jumping into kind of two different topics. We're going to be talking some video games. We're going to be talking some wrestling music. So let's jump on into our first topic. Let's talk about a game that we played not too long ago for a few hours during one of our streams. I wanted to talk about Lies of P. So, if you guys don't know what Lies of P is a Souls-like action role-playing video game developed by NeoWiz Games and Round 8 Studio, and published by NeoWiz as well. This is indie title inspired by your Souls-like, your Bloodborne, your Elden Ring, your Dark Souls, stuff like that, but is inspired and built also in the Pinocchio, I don't know if Pinocchio universe is the right term, but the story of Pinocchio. So you're taking your character, Pinocchio, and you are going around the city of Krat and trying to figure out what has happened with the puppets in the area. It used to be almost this utopia where people were thriving, they were gaining their riches and having a grand old time, and they had built and manufactured these puppets to essentially work for them, touchy subject, but to be police force, to be their butlers, servants, whatever it was. And this disease, it seems like it's a twofold thing, where there was this disease that has spread amongst the people that is infecting them, as well as the puppets malfunctioning, causing them to revolt and go against their human owners. It seems like it's, granted in gameplay, it is taking the aspects of gameplay from the Souls-like genre, where you're going around, fighting the different enemies, traveling this immerse and elaborate world of Krat, and then you will eventually get to big bosses and have these big showdowns and whatnot. They take elements of that, and then they also kind of implement different elements of stories, especially, I'm blanking on the movie, iRobot, where the puppets initially had like these different rules that they were following, and it's trying to figure out the mystery of what caused this. I don't know if you're going to try and find out the cause of the disease, but you're certainly going to try and find out what happens with the puppets here. So from Wikipedia, I'm just going to read the gameplay here. Lies of P is played from a third-person perspective. A player controls a humanoid Pinocchio and travels on foot through the city of Krat, exploring the environment and fighting various biomechanical enemies. Pinocchio uses an arsenal of weapons such as swords and axes against his enemies and can dodge and block their blows. The game also includes Fable Arts, a gauge that can be filled by dealing damage or perfectly blocking, which once it's filled can be used to deal high damage or temporarily give the player passive abilities. Pinocchio has a mechanical arm called the Legion Arm that can be equipped with gadgets such as a grappling hook to lure enemies or a flamethrower. The Legion Arm can be used to restore the durability of the player's weapons and also gives it special ability for a short time, such as acid damage or guaranteed perfect blocks. There's weapon crafting in there that they have as well. And yeah, it says it's a Souls-like compared to Souls, Dark Souls, Bloodborne, and Sekiro. So yeah, I had a lot of fun with it when I was delved into it. We played about a little short of 3 hours and got through 2 of the bosses. You had your initial Parade Master, along with the Donkey Man was the second one that I just took care of. And with you trying to figure out what's going on, we haven't found out a lot of information just yet, but we have some different allies. Sophia is the one who woke us up and allows us to level up and get more power. Geppetto we had just saved from this donkey man who had trapped him in a carriage, along with a few other allies. There's this woman, Antonia, who works at Hotel Krat, or rather owns it, and Eugenia, I don't know how to say her name, I do apologize, what seems like your blacksmith, I guess you could say, or just a way to improve your abilities and help you out with your Legion arm. I had a good time with it. Souls-like games have never been particularly like my most favorite genre of game, but they're always games that I really appreciate and want to be better at just because of their world building, their story lore that they have in there, and seeing the amazing like set pieces and enemies that you have to fight. Like, it's really impressive that they can do that. And I've dipped my toes in it here or there. I haven't beaten any of them, but like trying out Bloodborne, Sekiro, I got, I'd say, decently far into, and that's probably the one I've made the most progress in. Trying out Elden Ring, and now trying out this one. I felt like this one went very well for me. There was definitely times, obviously, dying, part of the game. You learn from what you did. Maybe you got to dodge the attack this way. Maybe you got to be more aggressive, less aggressive, whatever it is. It's part of the gameplay, similar to the roguelites and roguelikes that we play, is that trial and error, figure out what's going on, get better at it, and jump back in there. This one, I don't feel like I struggled with all that much, and I don't mean to say like it's lesser than the other ones, but it might be a little bit more user friendly. Now granted, this is still early. I could probably jump back into it, and I'm gonna get my ass whooped later on a lot more than I did today, or that day in the stream. We'll have to see. I think the first boss took me maybe 5 tries after almost doing it the first time and then struggling afterwards. And then Donkey Man took me 2 tries, maybe. Granted, like I said, it's early bosses. It might not be that quote-unquote skill checkpoint that apparently Souls games have, where that first boss is like, okay, here you go. If you can beat this, then you're ready. If not, you got to keep going. Kind of test your metal point of view, or point of no return. So I really enjoyed it. There was a couple of moments where a few of the gameplay elements didn't make a lot of sense, or weren't super clear of like, what is this item for? What is this item going to do? So I feel like that could have been explained a little bit better. But in terms of gameplay, first off, beautiful, absolutely beautiful looking game. The amount of detail in each of the characters, from the puppets themselves to Pinocchio, with just the simple aspect of like whether blood or oil gets on your clothes, seeing it spread, seeing it dissipate with the rain. Like if he's wearing a white shirt, seeing the puffy white shirt go from dry to wet and see that wetness go through the shirt. Very impressive, and I felt like never had anything that chugged along. There's a little bit of pop in here or there, but to have, from what I believe, the indie developers, NeoWiz and Round 8, like to have this come from an indie studio, awesome. I'm curious how long it took them to assemble this and put it together. That might be some research I'd have to look into, but they did a fantastic job. Now, it seems like this game has done very, very well. I know they had some DLC in there. Based on this Wikipedia article, there's a sequel that's been announced, so hey, congrats to them. I don't know where the story's going to go from here. I'm intrigued to continue diving into it. Apparently it goes places, quote unquote. So interested to see the kind of twists and turns that this story will take as we venture on into Krat, and just see the world that the studios have built here. I'm intrigued also of like the human aspect. So obviously with the Donkey Man, he's kind of out there. He's mad at the puppets and how this has gone awry. I'm curious what the balance is going to be of like the human enemies and the puppet enemies. Like, are they going to be balanced? Is it going to be more of the puppet enemies that we're taking care of? As the humans seemingly have been wiped out pretty hard, or at least attacked. I'm interested to see how that goes, because not anything against human enemies, but the robots, the puppets are a little bit more cooler to look at and way more intricate. Donkey Man just literally had a mask on and a big ass sword. I'm like, okay. So interested to see more of that enemy design, of the puppets. I know we have a big like police officer one I remember from the early trailers, that we'll eventually run into, and he looked pretty cool and exciting. So yeah, interested to see the scale of these enemies, see what they look like, see what kind of, attack patterns they have and whatnot, see what that obstacle is going to be like. But yeah, lot of elements obviously we need to dive further into, with like, how does it work? How do the different weapons work out? How does the assembly work out? What should I do with fucking Gemini? Like, what's his backstory? How's that gonna further grow over time? And what does he really bring to the table, if anything? So excited to dive more into this. This is one we just dipped our toes into recently, but it's eventually on our stream kind of like backlog wheel. So I'm excited when that does pop up. If I don't, like, I'm gonna shove this in here, take executive command. We'll see. Jump into it, see what else this game has to offer, and see how, like I said, not welcoming, but like, does it spike up in difficulty? Have I just been kind of handheld this so far, and then it's going to be like, haha, you thought, and turn up that difficulty? We'll see. As long as it's fun and rewarding, the dying doesn't matter as much. It's when it gets to that frustrating level, it's like, ugh. It's a tough balance to play. And I know that's a whole discussion with the whole Souls-like genre. Like, you get that rewarding feeling of like, yeah, I killed that boss. But you want it to be challenging without diminishing the player's investment or excitement to continue to explore your game. And it's a delicate balance that these games need to strike. So to have a different studio doing that and trying that, I'm curious if they struck that balance potentially a little bit better than the From Software folks, which nothing against them. I know obviously just it happens. I've seen it happen with myself, and I've seen it happen with others. Intrigued to see how that balance strikes. And I know there's a lot of other studios out there that are doing it. I know a few months ago at this point, but the Deathbound guys, I know they're doing their attempt at this type of game and this genre, and I know there's plenty of other indie titles out there that are doing it. I think Crystala is another big name one I remember from PAX East that's similar gameplay style with the Souls-like genre. So it's cool to see other other studios exploring this, and obviously you see the clear inspiration, but making it their own thing and telling these cool stories with these elements that they're bringing to the table. Obviously Pinocchio, I remember when this game was first announced, I'm like, that seems stupid, but it's really delivered, and obviously people have agreed with that. Apparently 1 million units sold October 2023, so that's insane. Good for them. So yeah, looking forward to more. What do you guys think of Lies of P? Let me know in the comment section down below. And yeah, excited to more of this crazy game.